Hey everybody, Fresh Source TV here. This video I consider to be very, very important, guys. With the recent displays and bad behaviors of a certain YouTuber in the front of her grandchildren, I think that it's time that somebody really, really touch on how she is directly affecting the mental capacities of these children. Okay. And the best way I know how to go about sharing what I mean with you guys is from a study of a psychologist by the name of Jean Piaget. Okay. And he did research and study on his own children and their growth and development, in particular, their cognitive developments. Okay? And so I know that parenting and uh, grandparenting does not come with a handbook, and all of us have made mistakes when it comes to raising our children. But the one thing a lot of us have not done was subject our children to negativity, um, a violent mindset, a violent way of speaking, um, using drugs in the front of our children. Uh, we've never done that. And because some people just don't understand the effect that those things have on children, we're talking about children that babies, okay, that are malleable. They mimic and they emulate our behaviors. Understanding that the minute a child is born, that they begin to learn, and they learn through their senses. The first through two senses that children learn through after birth is seeing and hearing. Everything that a child sees immediately after birth and so on is being imputed into the mind, into the brain. Remembering that the brain acts as a computer. So everything that child hears and everything that child sees, even before the child can functionally mimic the behavior of adults, they are taking on the characters of their first teachers. And those first teachers are their parents. And so that is why it's very important to protect a child's innocence for as long as you can. It's very important that we impart positivity into our children and we teach them well. We do them a great injustice when we use drugs in the front of them, when we speak violently in the front of them, because believe it or not, they are remembering everything that we say, and they are remembering everything that they see coming from us. And so what this video is about is to give the community some knowledge and in particular, Lady Goddess, some knowledge as to what she's actually doing to her grandchildren. She's actually cutting their sensories off by her imputing all of that negativity into their brains. She's shutting them down from learning the valuable things that they need to know at the stage of life that they're in right now. And so we're going to take a look at Jean Piaget's cognitive uh, theory on his on growth and development, and in particular cognitive development. He came up with 4 stages of cognitive development. So let's take a look at it, guys. All right. I'm gonna go ahead on and read what he believes and his theory. Okay? I'm gonna start with the theory. Piaget's theory of cognitive development has a monumental impact on contemporary development psychology. Despite challenges to his theory, his work remains a foundation for the modern understanding of child development. However, Piaget's theory and his stages of cognitive development are frequently misunderstood. It is best not to think of it as a child is in a stage at a particular moment in time, with parents anxiously testing their children to see if they are ahead or behind the correct stage. The point is that there are a continual process of building cognitive abilities where later skills are built on earlier skills. Piaget first described the various forms of thinking used by children throughout childhood, but he was even more interested in the process of development through the sequence of stages or forms of thinking as a guide to what develops and how. His 4 cognitive development stages describe one part of his great legacy. Okay. Um, Part of the delight of Piaget's work is his enormously insightful observation of children and his endless playful experimentation with them, including observing his own 3 children, about whom he wrote 3 groundbreaking books. Okay, child development milestones. Piaget believed that child development milestones or stages mark the attainment of particular levels of cognitive competence. This emerges through physical maturation and the past experience of the child. All children between 2 and 5 who develop normally within their culture acquire a number of basic skills and ability. Okay? Physical maturation. So I'm going to jump into his stages, his 4 stages of cognitive development. Okay? The first stage of Piaget's theory on cognitive development is the sensory motor stage during the first 2 years of life. This stage builds on actions in development of thinking during the first 18 months. Babies employ action schemes like sucking, pushing, hitting, and grasping in order to explore and manipulate the world. In the outset, the newborn has no self consciousness and has no clear awareness of what effects she produces. By coordinating her actions on objects in context of other people, she develops a sense of herself and how she relates to people and things. Piaget described a series of six substations within the sensory motor stage. The first substation is reflex activity. During the first month, the baby sucks, roots, grasps, touches, cries, moves her arms and legs, and gets better at all of these actions. He describes these actions as reflexes, but not in the sense of involuntary bodily movements. These are actions newborn engage in, and they are also improve these skills, such as sucking. The second substage is primary circular reactions. And that is, at this stage, the baby's activity focuses on his or her body, hence primary, and it is repetitive, hence circular, as the baby tries to recreate experiences, such as sucking a thumb. The baby is actively exploring. Okay, so now it gives the rest of the sub stages, but I'm gonna go ahead on and get to the uh, the primary stages, which is we're gonna go to the second one, which is the pre-operational stage. And this stage of cognitive development is being done when the child reaches 2 years old to 7 years old. Okay, pre-operational. Let's get into what this means. This stage starts when pre-conceptual thought. It starts with preconceptual thought, which includes pretend play, drawing, using simple language, and imitating actions even when they are not present and visible. A child at this stage does not distinguish between individual objects and the category they belong to. In the case of Piaget's own daughter, he referred to every slug as the slug. That is, the very one that they had seen further back along the path. Then comes to the intuition, which is another substage. The child starts to combine schemes in order to infer outcomes. The classical experiment is having two identical glasses of water with the same amount of water in each, then pouring one glass into a narrower glass so the water is higher. The child operating by focusing on only one dimension. Okay, so that's another substage. We're gonna get into another primary stage, which is the concrete operational stage. And at this stage, the child understands the principle of conversation. That is, even though there can be a change in appearance, some underlying properties can remain the same. For example, in the experiment described above, there must be the same amount of water in each glass because none was added or taken away, or because even though a glass was taller, it was also narrower. And so changes in the two dimensions compensate for each other. A child will group, count, and measure objects at this stage. The fourth one is formal operational. At this stage, children and adolescents can now experience through forming hypotheses, hypotheses systematically testing them out by trying out a series of alternatives, just like scientists. Okay? Piaget recognized that not everyone experiences skills at this stage as if they were scientists in a laboratory. He thought, however, that every adult may reach this stage in their own area of expertise in which they can systematically work through a problem in terms of possible variables involved. Okay? And so, what is happening with the individual that we speak of? She is intercepting the stages of these children cognitive development. Okay? And she's intercepted it because she is pouring just negativity into the minds of these children, which is cutting them off from reaching each stage of cognitive development. Please hear me clearly. She is cutting their cognitive development growth off by interjecting into the minds of these small children nothing but negativity. They cannot and they will not be able to get past certain stages of this cognitive development if she continues to impute all of the negativity. Because remember, they're they're ranging from, I'd say, age 2 to 4. Okay. And so in the first two stages, it builds on actions in the development of thinking during the first 18 months. They employ action schemes like sucking, pushing, hitting, grasping in order to explore and manipulate the world. But we also have to remember, and here it goes, the self-consciousness. They have no clear self-consciousness. So because they have no clear self-consciousness yet at this age, and all they're hearing is the negativity, and all they're seeing is the negativity, remembering that like the mind is like a computer, they're being cut off at this stage. They will not be able. Studies show that these children will not be able to successfully go through the proper stages of cognitive development if all they are being fed is negativity. And I hope this video reaches this individual, because she needs to understand that if she does not change her behavior now in front of these children, she will most definitely have problem with these children. Be it some form of intellectual disability, some form of behavioral disorder, and yes, some form of mental illness. So this is a message, and I consider this message to be an important one. So please share this video. This has nothing to do about how I feel personally about this individual, but it has everything to do about how I feel about what's happening to these children that are involved. No one is talking about the children. We are trying to give her some literature on how she can best handle the children that God has entrusted in her care. These little children are blessings from God. He has entrusted them in her care, and she should do whatever everything possible that she can do to rear these children up in a way that they will have a chance at life. Thank you guys. And like I said, please share the video because this literature needs to be read. She needs to understand what she's doing, okay? There's a saying when things go happen, especially in the Black community, that, oh, I was a victim of my circumstance, my environment. I was a victim of my environment. But what we all must remember, that children, that we are our children's first teachers. So if we teach them well, the Bible says, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they are older, they will not depart from it. Sure, they may make mistakes along the way, but they have a solid foundation to return to when they make that mistake. But if they're growing up in an environment that is not a solid foundation from the very beginning, then that's where the problem arises. You guys have a wonderful evening, and thanks for watching.